The House That Remembers. Michael was never the kind of person to believe in ghosts, curses, or anything that couldn't be explained with logic. As a software developer, he spent his days debugging code and fixing bugs, not chasing shadows or questioning reality. But when he received an email from his old college friend, David, someone who had vanished 5 years ago, his entire world shifted. The email was brief, cryptic. "Mike, if you're reading this, I need your help. The house is real. It remembers. It changes. Don't come looking for me, but if you do, don't trust what you see." David had always been fascinated by the paranormal. In college, he had spent countless nights talking about haunted houses, abandoned asylums, and things lurking in the dark. But he had disappeared without a trace during an investigation of a house on the outskirts of Ravenswood, a town infamous for its eerie folklore. No body was found, no note left behind. The police wrote it off as another case of a drifter moving on. But now, 5 years later, an email appeared in Michael's inbox, sent from David's old address. Michael tried to reply, but the message bounced back. The email address didn't exist anymore. He ran a trace on the server. It was sent from an unknown origin, impossible to track. That alone should have convinced him to drop it. But curiosity and guilt gnawed at him. He had never gone searching for David when he disappeared. He had dismissed it as another one of his friend's reckless stunts. Now, he needed to know the truth. The journey begins. Ravenswood was a small, forgotten town, tucked between dense forests and fog-laden hills. The townspeople were wary of outsiders, and when Michael asked about the house, their expressions darkened. "That place ain't right," one old man muttered at the diner. "It's not abandoned. It just waits." Michael found the house easily. It stood alone at the end of an overgrown path, its architecture frozen in time, Victorian, with towering spires and windows like hollow eyes. The air around it was unnaturally still. No birds, no rustling leaves, just silence. Inside, the air smelled of dust and decay. The wooden floors creaked under his weight. He expected cobwebs and broken furniture, but instead, the interior looked maintained. Not clean, but not abandoned either. It was as if someone, or something, was still living there. Then, he heard it. A whisper. His name. Mike. He spun around, flashlight trembling. Shadows stretched unnaturally long across the walls. The house felt aware. The layout shifted. Doors that were open moments ago were now gone. Hallways stretched longer than they should. A cold dread crept into his bones. And then he saw it. A figure stood at the end of the corridor. David. But his face was wrong. His mouth was too wide, his eyes sunken voids. His body twitched as if held together by something unnatural. "You shouldn't have come," it rasped. Michael ran, the house shifting around him. Stairs led to nowhere, doors opened to brick walls. The walls themselves pulsed as if breathing. The whispers turned to screams, voices overlapping, pleading, mocking. The house remembers. The house changes. The house never lets go. He reached the front door. It wouldn't open. His reflection in the glass twisted, grinning back at him. His own voice whispered from behind. "You were always meant to stay." Trapped in the house, Michael awoke, but something was wrong. The house was quiet now, eerily so. The walls no longer pulsed, the whispers had stopped. But his body felt different. His limbs were stiff, his skin cold. He turned to a nearby mirror, dread settling deep in his stomach. The reflection wasn't his. It looked like him, but the eyes were hollow voids, black and endless. He reached up to touch his face, but the reflection moved a fraction too late, like a badly synced video. A slow, terrible realization sank in. The house hadn't just trapped him, it had replaced him. Somewhere outside, in the real world, something wearing his face was leaving this place, walking into his life. Would anyone notice? Would they realize that Michael was gone? He turned back to the room. The walls had changed again. New doors had appeared, each leading somewhere unknown. The house was giving him a choice, or perhaps an illusion of one. Michael stepped forward, not knowing if he was still himself or just another memory trapped inside these cursed walls. A new reality. Days blurred into nights, and Michael lost his sense of time. The house played tricks on him, sometimes showing him glimpses of his old life, scenes of his apartment, his office, his family. But they were always distorted. Faces melted into unrecognizable shapes. Voices echoed as if spoken underwater. He encountered others, lost souls trapped within the shifting walls. Some whispered warnings, others simply wept, unable to recall their own names. One man, Thomas, claimed he had been there for decades. "The house feeds on us," he whispered. "It doesn't let go." Michael began seeing himself, or rather, what had taken his place, through spectral windows in the house. His doppelganger was living his life, interacting with his friends, smiling in ways that felt unnatural. But no one noticed. No one questioned the imposter. Desperation took hold. He had to escape. But escape meant something else taking his place. The house required balance. Someone had to stay. The final choice. Michael stood before a final door, different from all the rest. It was solid, unchanging. Behind it, he heard voices, his own voice, conversing with others. It was his doppelganger, living as him. Then, a whisper came from behind. "You can go back, but someone must stay." He turned to see David, or what remained of him. His friend's face was eroded, his body barely more than a shadow. "You can take your life back," David said. "But only if you take my place." Michael hesitated. Was it worth it? Was his old life real anymore? Or was he just another phantom in this cursed house? He stepped through the door. A familiar stranger. The world was bright. The house was gone. He was standing in his old apartment, the smell of coffee lingering in the air. His hands were solid again. Real. But something felt wrong. His phone buzzed. A text from his friend. "Mike, you okay? You've been acting weird lately." He looked at his reflection in the window. For a moment, his eyes flickered. Dark voids, endless and hollow. Then they were normal again. Somewhere, in the depths of an old Victorian house, a new whisper joined the chorus. "The house remembers. The house changes. The house never lets go."